It's been 5 years since Rocksteady Games brought their Arkham story to an end with the flawed yet excellent Batman Arkham Knight. And it goes without saying that given how much time has passed, people are getting more than a little antsy to hear about what's next for the series. That was true even a couple of years ago, and it's only become truer with each day that passes where we don't hear something concrete about the Caped Crusader's next appearance. But there are other factors at play that make the wait even more unbearable, with it looking increasingly likely that Rocksteady are working on something that isn't a new Batman game. It has fallen to Batman Arkham Origins developers WB Games Montreal to take up the mantle and take the series forward. But Arkham Origins came out in 2013, which means that WB Montreal have been silent for 7 years. Well, not completely silent. What's made the wait for the next Batman's release or even announcement even more excruciating is the fact that WB Montreal have been teasing something for a couple of years now. Something that they've never explicitly said is a Batman game, but based on all the teases and numerous leaks, is definitely going to be just that. The fact that the intensity of these teases has only ratcheted up in recent weeks hasn't made things any easier either. But while we're probably going to have to wait who knows how long until they're ready to openly talk about their new game that may or may not be but most definitely is a new Batman title, we can at least look at all the teases, leaks, and rumors about it and try to decipher what it's going to be about. So here, that's exactly what we're going to be doing. Though these are all going to be educated guesses or attempts at them at any rate, do remember that these are still just guesses. So don't blame us for not accurately predicting things if a few months from now it turns out that the game will see Batman and Mr. Freeze playing ice hockey while Poison Ivy and a disgruntled Robin watch from the sidelines. The one thing that we can all be quite confident of, even in the absence of an official announcement, is that the Court of Owls is going to be heavily involved. For those who don't know what that is, the Court of Owls is a shadowy criminal organization that first appeared in Batman's very first arc as part of DC's The New 52 continuity, co-created by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. The Court of Owls were revealed to be an organization with endless influence and resources that had been pulling the strings in Gotham from shadows for centuries, having effectively controlled the city since the 1600s, thanks in large part to extremely skilled and capable assassins called Talons. Since the very first day WB Games Montreal began teasing their next game, the Court of Owls has been front and center in dominating speculation, while several subsequent leaks have also suggested that they will be heavily involved in the story. The most conclusive piece of evidence comes from the Court of Owls co-creator Scott Snyder himself, who tweeted about a video game adaptation of his work in September of 2019 before promptly deleting that tweet. And so the next Batman game being focused on the Court of Owls is as close to being a lock as it can be in the absence of an official confirmation. But how exactly is the game going to make use of this formidable foe? What we have to work with here is far less conclusive than what we've talked about until now, but we can still make guesses based on previous teases for the game. Just a few days into 2020, WB Games Montreal dropped one of their meatiest teases for the game when they shared 3 separate parts of a single image on various social media platforms. Images that came together to form a single crest. That crest, as luck would have it, looks very reminiscent of the Gotham City Police Department badge, from the eagle on top of the crest to the wreaths on the sides to the scales of justice between the wreaths. The latter specifically would point to a law-related entity. Putting 2 and 2 together and arriving at GCPD as the answer here isn't much of a leap. But of course GCPD will figure into a game about Batman, right? How the hell does it tell us what the Court of Owls are doing and how they're going to figure into the game? Now, this is purely conjecture, but as a shadowy organization that has been controlling Gotham from behind the scenes for centuries, Illuminati style, is it not possible that their undue influence may have found a way to corrupt the GCPD as well? And if the Court of Owls were indeed butting heads with the Dark Knight, might it not be possible that they could divert the GCPD and its resources into halting the crime-stopping activities of said Knight? Speaking of Knight, a phrase that WB Games Montreal have been using with many of their teases for the game is capture the Knight, a clever, if obvious, play on words. It's also entirely possible that they're being very literal with its meaning here. Corrupted by the Court of Owls, the GCPD could be hellbent on capturing and stopping the Dark Knight of Gotham, which means that the Bat might have to go up against the law as he fights off the criminal organization. It wouldn't be the first time a Batman story sees the Caped Crusader butting heads with the police, though the context here might end up being much more sinister than it typically has been in the past. And it's possible, in fact, fact that that won't be all the Batman will have to deal with. He may very well have his hands full in terms of the people trying to bring him down, and people in turn that he has to stop himself. That, too, is something that we're basing on a WB Montreal tease, one that followed the GCPD badge tease very shortly, in fact. A mysterious webpage on the studio's site shows the 2 crests they've shown through teases up until now, slotted into a pattern that has the space for at least 8 more crests. One of these is the aforementioned GCPD crest, assuming that that is what it is, of course, while the other looks very reminiscent of the Demon's Head, and while the slots that are still open in that pattern might be pointing to more weeks and months of a drip feed of vague teases from WB Montreal, the entire picture might also be hinting at the nature of the game itself, and so Gotham might find itself in the midst of a good old-fashioned faction war, with the Court of Owls, the League of Assassins, and other groups fighting for supremacy and complete control over the city. Again, this is pure conjecture based on vague teases and very well might not be accurate, but it is a very interesting idea. Arkham City sort of touched upon this in a way, with various villains carving out territories of their own within the walled-off prison city, but that never really materialized in any meaningful way as far as gameplay was concerned. If the next Batman game were to do that, it could lead to some very interesting gameplay ideas. It could even blend its faction warring with something similar to the Nemesis system from Shadow of Mordor. Finally, there's another piece of info we can extrapolate from unofficial sources. Leaks have indicated that this game will feature the entire Bat family as playable characters, which means co-op might be in the cards, and that it's going to be called Batman Arkham Legacy. While the bit about the Bat family is quite self-explanatory, the name, if it is an accurate leak, could be indicative of the game's central conceit, because the word legacy in its title might be suggesting that the game deals with the aftermath of the Arkham series. Of course, there's every chance that that isn't the game's actual name, or that it doesn't hold as much meaning as we're thinking it does, which means there's also every chance that the game is completely removed from the Arkham series stories and is doing its own new thing. So that's all we've got to work with for now. Leaks, rumors, vague teases, and conjecture based on all of that. Some of it seems pretty likely, with evidence piling on top of evidence, while other bits are on shakier ground and might turn out to be inaccurate. More than anything else, what we need now, after an excruciatingly vague and drawn-out pre-announcement marketing cycle, is an actual announcement, and some proper, concrete information on what the game even is. As always, we remain hopeful that'll happen soon, and if it so happens that our somewhat educated guesses were on the money, we might just be in for the most exciting Batman game ever. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, please hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to switch on the notifications bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.